Go ahead.
Just to follow up on one of the things that Tom raised, you talked about the different avenues for assessments that are going on. This department, this building, often does an assessment of whether genocide has happened in certain cases, whether crimes against humanity have happened in certain cases. That there's a specific laid out process for that. Has one of those processes been even initiated on this?
So these are the exact kinds of things, Simon, that we wouldn't speak to whether they have started or not, because these are ongoing deliberative processes. And you'll see if you look back to the number of daily press briefings in which this has come up, we have not spoken to the status, the conclusivity, or whether processes have started or stopped as it relates to any of these issues.
Right. But I'm just trying to understand the conclusivity, I guess, of this determination that you've made. It's sort of you're dismissing these allegations out of hand and saying they're unfounded. So that suggests that you've looked into them.
So.
And come up with a conclusion.
I'm not going to speak to the deliberative processes that this department may or may not have at its disposal on the accusations of genocide, both in this instance and in previously when it's come up in the context of the ICC. We continue to find those findings to be unfounded. I'm not in a place to talk about any of the processes that we have at our disposal.
And the Israeli Foreign Ministry, sorry,
yeah.
just
you're good.
Just a couple more. The Israeli Foreign Ministry has called Amnesty International a deplorable and fanatical organization, called it a fabricated report. Do you agree with that?
Certainly wouldn't agree with the characterization of that. As you heard me say to Saeed, we think that there is an important and vital role that NGOs and humanitarian groups like Amnesty International play in the analysis work that's being done as it relates to the conditions in Gaza, and certainly would not categorize them as deplorable or any of those other words.
And a slightly different Gaza-related question. The incoming Special Envoy, Steve Witkoff, has been meeting with Israelis, with Qataris. I wonder if you could speak to those efforts or those talks, and whether we could, whether that's positive for reaching a potential ceasefire in Gaza before the end of this administration.
I am most certainly not a spokesperson for the Trump administration. You'll have to wait till 12:05 on January 20th to do that with whomever is here. But what I can say is that we continue to work. This administration, President Biden, Secretary Blinken, continue to work day and night to secure a deal that would free the hostages and bring about a ceasefire in Gaza. I will let the Trump transition speak to any of the engagements they've had, any of their travel, but this is obviously a priority for us. We are working tirelessly to get it across the finish line, and we'll utilize every hour that we have to do so. And I will let the incoming administration speak to their own foreign policy.
And just one specific element of that is that Steve Witkoff apparently had meetings in Qatar, and there's a suggestion that the Qataris are now back as a mediator in these talks in a way that they hadn't been, and that may involve Hamas officials returning to Qatar. Is there anything you can say on that status?
I don't have any assessment to offer on that beyond just saying that throughout this process, Qatar has been an indispensable partner, and they continue to be so, both in the context of working to find an end to this conflict, but just the leadership role that they continue to play in the region and the Arab world.
And the Hamas presence there?
I don't have any, I'll leave it to Qatar to speak to that. Yeah.